Have you ever had the question, God, why did you make me the way that you did? I know that I have. I'm Paul Nelson, also known as Positive Paul, and this is my story. So when I was born, I was diagnosed with something called scaphocephaly, which is basically a fancy way of saying that I have a football-shaped head. So long and narrow and not quite like everybody else's. And when I was a kid, it was actually a lot more noticeable, and it's not as noticeable now, but you can still see it. But I wonder if this is why I love football so much. So apparently, this only happens in about 1 of every 5,000 births, which I thought it was a lot more than that. And I guess I'm not as special as I thought I was. Normally, babies are born with a soft, flexible head shape so that it's easy to exit the birth canal. And in this case, mine fused too early. So I had hard head like a rock, and so it made it really difficult for my mom to birth me. So the doctor was telling her to lay on her left side to give me more blood, just to, because I was taking my time coming out. So I think like with all of the uncomfortableness and me not coming out, she had to just jump a few times and then did a backflip, and then finally when she landed I came out, something like that, I believe, is what I heard. Actually, I was there, so I remember. Once I was born, I also had trouble nursing. I had a tall, narrow palate, and so I wasn't able to get the vacuum suction that I was supposed to have. And so then my parents were actually pretty worried about me because I wasn't eating. So then they were so worried, didn't know if I was actually going to make it. And so they decided to baptize me. So I was actually baptized in my parents' bedroom. And I didn't know that until a year ago. My mom told me that. And I was like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. And I was also born on St. Paul's conversion feast day, which is the day where he got knocked off his horse and became a Christian. And I also share a birthday with my great uncle Paul, my mom's youngest brother. So because of the shape of my head, doctors told my parents that there could be a lot of risks, like developmental issues, headaches, seizures, and pressure on my brain because it wasn't growing the way that it was supposed to be. So my parents had to make a very difficult decision whether I was going to have surgery or not. So basically, for the surgery, they were gonna cut a middle section of my head out, take it out, and then they would put the back and the front together. So I wouldn't have as long of a narrow head. It would be hopefully more like a normal shaped head, but they technically didn't know for sure if that would even work and if I would have side effects after that. So for almost 2 years after researching and emailing different parents who have had kids with the same conditions, that's what you did back in the day. You just emailed other people because they didn't really have phones and internet as easily and stuff. So they tried to understand all the risks, the outcomes, and what my future might look like. So they decided not to do the surgery, and honestly, I'm really thankful they didn't. The surgery, wasn't guaranteed to fix everything. My head still might not have looked normal necessarily. I would have still had a football-shaped head. And thankfully, I never dealt with seizures, headaches, or developmental issues. Something that they did do to help not have developmental issues is they would hang me upside down every 3 hours and just hold me there for 30 seconds. And I think that actually helped me be taller because I'm the tallest one in my family. So I'm actually I'm mad about that. So yes, my head was shaped differently. I was also blessed to grow up just outside in Steubenville. I was born and raised in a huge Catholic family. So I have 11 other siblings, so there's 12 of us. So 6 boys, 6 girls. So it goes Dad, Mom, Larry, Mary, and John, Peter, Isaac, Gabe, Paul, Andrew, James, Ray, Sarah. And those are all my siblings. So just a quiet, peaceful household. Just kidding. I was homeschooled, so like most of my siblings. And I did a year of public school with my brother. We wanted to know what that was like. So we studied criminal justice, and we grew up on 33 acres. So we had a huge backyard with a ton of woods with a creek, and my grandparents actually lived like 200 yards away. So that was really cool to have them around. And we had gardens, we had a bunch of animals. So we had goats, ducks, dogs, cats, rabbits, chickens, a rooster, which that rooster attacked me, and that'll be another story. Even though I've had a good childhood, I can still vividly remember 3 or more different scenarios where people made fun of me, or my head was pointed out. So when I was about 7 or 6, I was at the pool, swimming like a normal kid, and another kid came up to me and was like, "Why is your head shaped the way that it is?" And I just remember being like, "I don't know," and I just like dove under the water to try to like escape that. There was another moment in middle school. I was at a bonfire at my cousin's house with my sister and a bunch of other family and friends, and there was going to be like an after party or time for people to hang out, and my sister didn't want me to go with them. And in my head, I believed, "Paul, she doesn't want you to go because of your head shape and because she's ashamed of you and embarrassed by you." And I believed that in my head, and it made me like super sad. So I remember that night, it was like 11 o'clock at night. I was at home in the middle of our yard. I specifically remember like I went down to where the fireplace is, which is like on the edge of our big yard. So it was like kind of dark and scary over there. And I was like, that's kind of dangerous. So I was like, I just wanted to be in the middle of the yard where I could like see everything around me, and I was like safer or whatever. But my dad heard me. He came out, and I was just crying, and I told him like what happened, and he was like, "Well, did your sister like tell you that?" And I was like, "No." And then he actually ended up telling me about how I was born and how my head fused together too early, and that was like the first real conversation I've had about my head. Then another moment in high school, I was at a dance, and there was a friend working and setting up the lighting equipment with another friend. And I was like, "Hey, what's up?" And then my friend was like, "Oh, hi, Paul. I knew it was you from across the room because of your melon-shaped head." And that's when I like realized that words cut deep. And when people are joking or when they don't mean anything by it, those moments still stick with you. So here's what I want to say. If there's something about you in your life that you could honestly change, then do it. But if there's something about you that you were born with, that something that you didn't choose and that you can't change, like a birthmark or a diagnosis or your height, your weight, your head shape, know this, that you are not a mistake, you are not broken, you are not less valuable because of your differences. You are loved by God just as you are. You are perfect in the builder's eyes. Just be you. You is good enough. At some point, we have to learn and be at peace with who we are. Not every insecurity magically disappears, but because our worth does not come from looking normal, it comes from being loved by God. I found peace in my head shape. Now I'm 27 years old, married. I have a gorgeous wife, a beautiful daughter. So clearly, my head shape didn't stop me from having an amazing life that God intended for me. And maybe there's someone watching this right now that you have felt. Maybe there's something about you that you've hated for some time. Maybe you've asked God, "Why did you make me this way?" And just know your whole story. Only you know what you've carried, but maybe, just maybe, the very thing that you've been going through, somebody else has as well. And your story might help them with theirs. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. My goal is to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2026. And please share this video with somebody who might need to hear it. Thank you so much for your time and attention. If you want to see my last video on what I would do if it was the last day of my life, click here.